to adjourn.
You can do a lot of things with this thing.
Oh yeah, that probably.
I think they'll push
Payroll
that.
claims, and after that we can adjourn.
We gotta push that button sometimes so it works.
Let the sheriff know we're gonna do it or no?
Okay, well, I think somebody did that once during.
Did it? Call this meeting in order. All stand face to flag for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Maybe seat. Roll call: Brett Luther.
Present.
R.J. Dillon.
Here.
Tim Yockel. I am here. Approval of minutes.
Motion to approve minutes.
Second the motion.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Got approval of claims.
Motion to approve claims.
Second the motion.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approval of payroll.
I'll make a motion to approve payroll as presented.
Second to motion.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, brings us up to public comment. Anybody want to have anything they got to say? We got a large crowd here tonight, so I'm not standing up. No, but public comment is good for if anyone does want to speak. If not, we have public comment at the end, and we give you a second chance. So, we're going to go ahead and start with the new issues. Vermillion County 2023 tax sale calendar.
Is there someone here to speak to it?
We just want to approve the second ways to run this.
Assume that needs approval. Make a motion that we approve the 2023 tax sale calendar for Vermillion County.
I'll second the motion.
Discussion. I do want to say one thing from the last tax sale, that something came out that has never came out, that someone's trying to buy property for another person who had it in the sale, and someone else is trying to buy it for them, and I believe that the tax attorney that was there that day pulled them aside and let them know that you can't do that, and you can be charged with a felony, I think, about it. So that's kind of good to know that there is a chance that some of the stuff that is being out here and people are letting it go for tax sale, and then they go back and buy it, have someone else buy it back for them, and they buy it off of them, and it's been a bad situation a lot of times. And I'd like to maybe have Farinda come at the next meeting and discuss that. It'd be a good thing for us all to know if that is going on.
I think she's in the process of putting together methods of allowing this, or go through the tax sale in that process. And there's some good examples out there, I think, that she's cited. So I think we're in pretty good shape with her anyway, or with that tax sales.
They do very well with that. They handle it very well, and it goes very well. And the people they have working do a very good job. So, if we've got discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? None?
If I would make a comment, though, we do have properties in the county that I don't know why we have them.
Yeah.
They're listed as a Vermillion County as the owner. There's some, well, actually they're all over the county, not in any one spot. I would like to see us, I don't know why we're holding on to them anyway, and they're not in private hands, unless we have a good reason for them to be that way. And I'm not talking about alleys and roads, I'm talking about parcels of ground.
Right.
If they're acquired for a reason, I guess I'd like to know what the reason is that we have them, and or if it was a plan that just never came together, or it's going to come together in the future or whatever. That'd be nice to know. But the land is just sitting idle and not being productive for anybody at this point, or a number of them are anyway that I've seen.
Well, if you guys would like, by next meeting I could spearhead that and get with like maybe the assessor and just get a list of all those properties and put something together for you guys and see, because there are some that are just right in the middle of everyone's property that doesn't make a whole lot of sense why they're not being sold or just put back at a tax sale.
Some of these look like they're in these towns like St. Bernice, Blandford, some up north, and I think I saw even some in Cayuga.
There's some north in Eugene that's Board of Commissioners zone, yeah.
It seems like they're in the smaller enclaves of subdivisions, if you will. But it'd be nice to get those into hands that somebody's going to take care of it, because the county, somebody may be taking care of it, but it's not the county anyway.
Right. Yeah, we need to look at that. And then if anyone's interested in those, get a hold of us and especially if local people could get them as part of their lot and then clean it up and make it
Yeah.
a productive piece of ground. Very much in favor of that. Okay, next we have Dr. Market with the Health Department Quarterly Report. Glad you came.
Okay, so this is from first of the year to the end of March, and this first page here just talks about Wendy's duties and what we've been doing. Mostly been trying to keep up with the state on their Governor's Public Health Commission and what we have to do and need to do, and we should have an answer by the end of the week, we hope, on what's going to happen with that. So.
You know anything about that funding? Did they cut that funding back? There was a pretty good chunk of money coming to the
They
counties.
cut out the trauma and the preparedness monies for that. There were 7 core areas that they wanted us to focus on, and so they've taken those 2 out so far, and they've cut back the total amount too. So we'll see by the end of the week what it really amounts to.
What would it be used for locally? Is it just for trying to educate people?
The core principles they want us to concentrate on are like smoking cessation, maternal health, infectious disease, environmental health, like the lead poisoning, it's just more education for chronic disease, just want us to be more involved and open for different things, and the money can only go for those purposes, so we have to use it in that way to educate or put on programs to help people. I know Lori has been really focused on trying to get the smoking cessation part down. They want us to have a coalition with other entities, counties, to really push that forward. Just a lot of, just public health issues that they want us to put more effort into, kind of try and get us out and away from COVID and doing, all the other things that people need to stay healthy.
Okay.
So, Wendy's been working closely with that. She has to have, she has to make out a budget for, our regular budget, what it would be, and then she has to make out another budget that would include that money to present to the state. So she has to make 2 budgets just in case for whatever's going on.
So our birth certificates versus death certificates is about 2 to 1, isn't it? Death rate 2 to 1 roughly for birth rate.
Yeah, we had certified 118 births, and then we had 279 deaths for the quarter. And then just some people coming in for just copies for genealogy purposes. And vaccines, over the quarter we administered a total of 102, and we had 16 clinics during that time. We have a TB case that we're following. We have right now actively working on 13 lead cases, and then we administered 5 TB skin tests. So.
Are these new, or are they carryovers from last year?
The TB case is carrying over from last year, and then all the lead cases were like dumped in January, so they are all new.
Are they in one
That's
locale?
when the
or
statutes changed for when you have to investigate.
are they in one locality in this county, or are they spread out throughout the county?
They're really spread out throughout the county, and they are, so they changed it. If you're between 3.5 and 5, just the nurse has to call, talk to them, educate them, send them information. If you're over 5 now, used to be 10, but now it's 5. We have to actually send our public health nurse out to the home, take a full history, try to figure out where the lead's coming from, and we have to get a lead inspector into the home as well.
So are these because of lead paint, lead pipes, water systems,
Yeah,
all the above?
all the above. And we have to try and figure out where they're being exposed so we can get rid of the exposure.
Okay.
And
Is there
some of
anything
these
the
people
county should be
have
doing?
moved.
Is there anything the county should be doing other than what the Board of Health is doing?
Nice, put some
None
money
of this,
behind
well,
that.
we're going to get a lead inspector. We're gonna, the state has a scholarship to train somebody to be a lead inspector. So we have somebody that we're gonna send to school for that. And, then, so they have 2 parts of the schooling, and then they have to take an exam. But we're not sure, like, what kind of equipment we're getting into with that. They said they had somebody, like a regional person for our region that we could all share, but that's gonna be hard if, you know, we're getting so many more because that they changed the threshold, and you're supposed to get it all done within 5 days. And so if you're just sharing somebody, that's gonna be near impossible to do. So we wanna have somebody and, you know, maybe share with Park County, that we've got kinda on call, not really employed by the county, but, a memorandum of understanding that we talked about, and that they would be available to us when we need them.
When you say respond in 5 days, you mean respond just to say
As
hello?
far as
or
going
do
out
you-
to the home and doing the inspections.
Okay, but then you have lab testing and everything else that has to happen after that, so how is that happening?
Right, so the physician does the lab testing.
Well, I don't mean on the individual, but whether it's paint, or whether it's in the water system, or whether it's,
Right, that gets sent to the state.
yeah, and that's not within that 5 days.
No, the results don't have to come back, but we have to go do the inspection.
And then what happens? How's that resolved?
Well, we follow the child, we look for the source of the lead, try and, you know,
I guess how's it mitigated when they find something?
when they find something, well, then you go through the process with the state as far as how to get rid of the source.
Did the
And
individuals
that
have?
might be moving, that might be repainting, that might be, you know,
Is this an expense on the individual, or does the state have funding for that, or is the county supposed to have funding for that?
I think I think it will depend on what the source is. You know, if it's something as simple as painting, repainting your windowsills and, you know, things like that, then I think that's the individual, but we've never really gotten that far into it as far as getting information on what's gonna happen when we get to that point, if we do.
Okay.
So, they will be, so that's our plan for that. And then for environmental services, we've got a lot of permits that have been given out so far, and some inspections. We did, put the, restaurant inspections in the paper this time and on our Facebook page and our website, so those are being made public now.
How successful are you with these red tagged homes?
You know, everyone's a little different. The thing about it is that you can red tag them, but then we have to prove that they're a danger to the public, not just to themselves. So unless we prove that, we really have no power. If they're in there and living conditions are horrible and they're only hurting themselves, we can't do a thing.
Sure, that's okay.
Yeah. So, I think still working on getting the jail finished in the kitchen area. There's been some things that they needed to do and get done, and so I think they're just about there, but not quite yet.
Are they using the facility?
I've seen pictures. I have not been in it. but we had some concerns about, there's only one employee to cover, and so what if they're sick? What if they're, they can't work?
So it's not the physical facilities, the administration of it. Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
Okay.
it's more to do with that, and if she's not available to be there, they gotta have some kind of backup
Right.
person to come in there, and I think there were a couple of things with how stuff was positioned that Kim was concerned about, but that was our biggest concern, is that there was just one person for 365 days of the year, and there's no way that they could.
They knew about this some time ago, and it's not been resolved yet? Or
Not to my knowledge.
is there a misunderstanding there of what needs to be done?
I don't think so. It's made pretty clear.
Okay.
So, we had some complaints that we investigated. There, one at the motel there in Clinton. Lady lives there, I guess. She's lived there for like 7 years, and it's horrendous inside that room. But again, if it's not affecting somebody else, we really have little power. And the owner of the hotel is not interested in getting rid of her because he likes that monthly check. So, kind of sad
That's a public
situation.
facility though, more or less.
Chinese restaurant shut down, didn't he? Up on the hill.
I don't know.
Yeah, he shut down. He's
I
doing
don't eat
computer work now.
Chinese.
Good guy. Good
Also
guy.
included in here is the COVID update. We had 60 cases in January, 37 in February, and 39 in March. So you can see the numbers continue to go down. Now that there are more than that, we know, because people are self-testing at home and positive and calling in, getting medicines from their doctors, but that have been reported to the health department from the hospital, testing, things like that. Those are the cases we know of. And the percentages are pretty much the same as far as who's vaccinated and who's not. So, each group. And then Lori, last page here is Lori's being the health educator preparedness coordinator, and she's just been having a lot of meetings, trying to meet everybody that she's working with, and getting programs, getting her certifications for like Narcan, and she did the car seat training, and she did meet with Mark O'Hare, and they made her a badge, but she hasn't been able to get back in contact with them. She's left them messages
He's
to
right back
bring the badge maker to get everybody else done.
Good.
So we are working on that.
If you just fill out the forms and turn them into me, I'll make your badges.
Oh, you did that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just gonna take pictures, but I need to get all that set up.
Gotta take everybody's picture, right? Okay, I'll let her know. What else? Yeah, just lots of meetings and trainings, and trying to learn everything she can to do her job properly. Any questions?
What would you say? It'd be nice if we could do something in our county that would make a lot of sense and make a difference in our health. And I'm thinking, I just wrote that when you was talking about lead. I put down get the lead out, and I thought that sounds kind of neat. You know, if we could have some type of program where every house would be tested for at least their water. I mean,
For water, yeah.
yeah, water.
And if we get the money from the state, that's something we want to do.
I mean, that'd be neat if you could do the whole county and do
Yeah.
everybody. You have one thing that you check the whole county for. And you
Yeah.
could eliminate one potential harm to a child. I mean, that's where it affects the kids.
I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
Soil and Water does free
Yeah.
well water testing at the fair. Maybe it's something we could expand on, because I do know, a lot of the lead is going to be in your unincorporated towns, like Eugene, outside of Perrysville. And I know a lot of the, I mean, I've done it 1 year, and it's pretty simple process, but I think a lot of the problem is just getting it down there. So I don't know if it's a way maybe we could expand it, maybe go to certain areas in the towns and say, hey, if you want your well water
Yeah,
tested.
see, we're getting it.
Well, it's not, it's all water. Because I rent water utilities for 25 years with lead and copper sampling, and you would go, the water is not usually coming from the utility issue, it's the water, it sets in your pipe overnight. That's where your problem is. And most of the problems at the indoor is the plumbing inside the houses. And, you know, if you had like...
People that still have lead in their pipes.
Yeah, and we could actually, if we could do that for the whole county, it'd be nice to say we all come together for one health event that could change the future of some of these kids. I mean, that's a pretty big deal. And Soil and Water does it for the fair, but there's really no coordinated effort to do the whole entire county. And I think it'd be something great, get some young people involved. And
That's something we're considering. We can't do it this year, but if we get the money from the state, this year we're getting an intern, and if she comes back next year, we're thinking about having her do a program where she goes out and reaches out individually to everyone, and then you know, approach them about getting.
But does it
their
make
water
sense
tested.
maybe to have one thing that you concentrate on, at least maybe cover the whole county? It'd be, I think you'd have a lot of people buy in.
Yeah. These lead results that we're getting all depend on if the physician tests the child or not. Because they're supposed to be tested at age 1 and age 2. And if the physician doesn't test them, then the results never get to us.
Is that part of the school?
It's
when they
just
go to
part
school,
of
she
your
goes-
wellness visits of children when they come to the doctor. It's not done at school. And we're supposed to be getting some filter papers where we can do it in the health department and send them back to the state, and that would be free of charge. But we haven't gotten them yet, so.
Okay.
Thank
That
you.
it?
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Really appreciate you coming and being part of our meetings. It's important that you come, and I think all of us here really appreciate that. Have someone involved from the health department come into our meetings. That's a good thing. Really appreciate it. Okay. DocuSign. Who's taking care of the DocuSign?
Nobody pointed at you. Okay, so I contacted DocuSign and did a 30-day trial to see how he liked it, and then they contacted me, and I had Britton join in on the meeting because he had mentioned what the new DocuSign. And it's, I don't have the numbers in front of me because I thought we were talking about this. But you
Is your
can
mic
get-
on?
Yeah, I'm just talking low because I want everyone to hear me.
Everybody wants to hear you.
But they can give you 1,000, let's say, documents for the year. And that's like the basic one, and I think it was,
I'm sorry.
I don't remember the price, but
When you say 1,000, what do you mean?
like documents to run. So what happens, instead of having you guys have to wait and sign or go find you guys to sign or use your stamp, we can email it to you guys, kind of like you do with the community crossing grant
Right.
stuff, and you sign it electronically. That's kind of how it would work here. And it dates it for you, signs it, and tells where you signed it. So that you guys or the council or whoever, we can send stuff throughout the county, it can all get signed, bam, done.
So we already signed up for the trial, or are we asking
No,
if we
I
can?
did the trial.
Okay.
Yeah, I signed up so I could get in there to play with it. I haven't sent anything out yet, just playing with it.
That's all. Is that the legal way of doing things now, with DocuSign?
Yeah.
Is it all legal binding?
I think it's
Oh,
gonna.
Adobe has a similar.
Yeah, where you can sign. Yeah, I think it's just, I mean, I think it's kind of long overdue to do that. I mean, whether it's just for us commissioners or council members or the
Yeah.
whole county kind of can get involved in it.
Anyone in the county can use it, but there's got to be at least one administrator of the thing,
Mhm.
and then you can have as many administrators as you want, or you can choose what level they have.
Okay.
But it was 1,000 documents.
Minimum is 500.
Oh, minimum's 500, okay. And then how much was it? Cause I didn't.
There's so much a
Was it
document.
32 or 3,200?
I didn't bring my note on that.
Yeah,
I
I
do have a
didn't
note
either.
on it, but I didn't bring it.
But there is a price, but it's for the whole year, and then it goes down to 2,700 the year after.
It'd be a way to maybe like test it out before the next meeting, and if we like it, maybe bring the proposal next commissioners meeting.
This is something I think we should have done a long time
Yeah.
ago. It's just like the community crossing grant last year. I think you guys, or something, we had an EV signed and you two were in
Yeah.
Indianapolis and I was in a third place someplace else. And
Yeah.
you're running around trying to get a signature before the nth hour hit. And the cost of, almost everybody's gone to DocuSign, almost any document we have. Including the jail was all done under DocuSign also.
Sure.
So everything is there, you can read it, don't have to sign it, you can send it back and want edits or whatever you want to do with these things. But it's a legal form of
Okay.
being able to sign it. So if we don't sign the right document here or didn't sign any of the documents, Kylie can send those to us and we can sign them from wherever we have an internet, as long as we have an internet connection. Likewise, as president, you can sign things that are authorized that you don't need 30 signatures for, but you can be in wherever and be able to sign those without being here. And so it's a very good way of doing business. And
Then we
some of
don't
these
have to get
days,
stamps. We don't have to have stamps for you guys.
no, you don't have to run around and
Yeah.
trying to find somebody. The thing is, he gives us a time, a date stamp,
Yeah.
and so there's no question as to, well, did this get signed at a meeting, or did it get signed a year ago, or whose signature is it?
Yep.
So,
And it holds your documents for as long as you need it, so.
and if we decide not to use the service in the future, we can download, well, we can do that anyway, but we can download the documents into our server so that they're not going to hold them for us if we're not
Yeah.
continuing the service.
Right.
But if we discontinue the service, the documents still flow down to us as long as we download them. It's our responsibility to do that.
Sounds like we're all in favor of doing that.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Because we're on a trial period. How
Yeah.
long's the trial period good for?
It's 30 days. I think I have 15 days left.
You need to think this through a little bit because we just can't. Well, we can go do it, but there's an administrator and there's
There's
there
different
needs-
levels. I'll have to look at the different levels.
Send us
of
all the
payroll.
information on each thing and then let's look at it.
Okay.
And then we can look at it by next meeting.
but needs to be a structure to it. You just don't throw it out there and everybody just uses it.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a structure to it. Otherwise, it'll get out of hand and it won't mean much to the county at that point.
Okay.
Sure.
So we'll hear.
But thank you for doing that. It took me over a year and I didn't do any of it, so you did it in one phone call. So thank you.
I think that's something we're trying to do throughout the whole county, really. I mean, our county.
And it's not just the commissioners can use it.
Yeah.
Any as long as we authorize it, any
Yeah.
department or council, it'd be a big use for.
Because we're looking at the county garages to upgrade them and get them more up to date in technology, each one of the garages too. So
Yeah,
we have
that's gonna
that
be a
communication.
little bit bigger task, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Approval of health insurance and employer HSA donation, Leanne Smith.
Good evening, Leanne Smith with Human Resources. It's the time of year to renew our health insurance. I, along with the insurance committee, which consisted of Mike Holcamp, Paige Kilgore, RJ Donovan, Ashley James, and Brenda Furry, we spent the last 3 months researching, discussing the county's health insurance options. Brenda and myself have met with Brandon Adamson. He is our USI representative. We've talked to him numerous times on the phone, emails, after email, after email. The committee itself has met 2 times with Brandon to discuss different options for the health insurance. And we have done our due diligence and decided the health plan that's in front of you is the best option for the county and the employees in both service and physicality. We will stay with the same policies, the HSA and the PPO, and some of the deductibles have changed, but in most part it has stayed the same.
So the rates went up quite a bit, didn't they?
Yes, the rates did go up. Yes, sir. And we are still staying with Anthem.
Which deductions changed, Leanne?
That is on the HSA. It went from a $2,800 deductible to a $3,000 for individual, and from $5,400 to $6,000 for family.
For family.
And there's a difference between the HSA and the PPO now?
Yes, there is.
Would you expand on that?
In looking at the rate options, I know one of your concerns, and the rest of the commissioners, were the difference between the HSA and the PPO not being as a greater amount. So we went ahead, and this time there is a significant difference between the
Appreciate
HSA
you
and the PPO.
doing that. Also appreciate the committee going through and actually doing a thorough job of looking at all the different alternatives
Yes.
anyway this time. And thank you for providing that information for our meeting.
You're welcome.
It's this is the way I believe it should have been done.
And I
a while
know
back,
it's a
and I
time
appreciate
crunch,
you doing that.
But in part of our emails back and forth was a census that had to be done, because we were getting quotes from different insurance companies. So it was a final.
That's what the committee is supposed to do, and I appreciate
Yes,
it.
you're welcome.
It just wasn't one meeting and
Yes, no, sir.
signed here, so.
And I'm also asking for the employer donation to the HSA, as it's been done in the past, which is $1,000 per year, $250 per quarter.
That HSA, if you have money left over in the year, does it carry over?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I'm
Yes.
seeing mine.
And you can have the employee donation as well.
There's a maximum amount that you can get in HSA before it becomes taxable, but, you know.
Ours, we got a card. We can use that card.
You go
I mean,
and open-
I do it for my company, not through you guys. I'm just wondering if it's the same principle.
You would go to
got-
your bank, open up an HSA account, and they will give you a debit card, yes.
Okay.
Has there been a recommendation on, one of the things is part-time help? At what point do you get full benefits, including this health insurance?
Our county handbook says 40 hours a week.
Did the committee consider that being a 30 or 32 hour, something
We did not
in that
discuss that,
effect?
no.
It just says 4 days a week. Or does it say
40 hours.
Okay, okay.
So if you're less than 40 hours or considered part-time, if you will, then you
Do not receive
you
those
won't.
benefits.
Okay.
So did you consider that commissioners are part-time, councils are part-time, and they,
No.
and they shouldn't be getting this either?
It was elected officials, yes, elected
Well,
officials.
some elected officials work 40 hours a week, some don't.
And some work 70.
Yeah, well, you don't get twice as many benefits. Well,
What-
I'm
what-
halfway serious about, well, not
But
halfway,
when
I am
the-
serious about this.
The cost alone, a couple of years ago, I think it was like, for us to insure one county employee is like $15,000, or the amount of money we put in per employee. Does that sound about right?
It's more,
More than that.
Well, I mean, it was several
I would
years
say
ago,
it's
it was
probably
15.
more in the, if you look at all the rounded benefits, insurance and everything, it's probably close to 25.
well, that's the health insurance. I think we're paying 17,000 something per,
I was
Yes.
talking about the
per
health
employee
insurance.
for the health insurance,
Oh,
not
gosh.
counting the
It's
other.
a sizable
It's a
thing.
sizable amount, yes.
Yeah. And how many employees we got? 80?
We have 90 on our health insurance.
Okay.
Total employees is like, it's still 104, 106?
146 employees.
46. Boy, I was way off.
I was just-
And 90 on our health insurance.
Okay.
There's quite a few that's not
Did we increase employees?
hitting the county. Good. Doing good.
Do we used to have 104 on insurance? Maybe that's what it
Maybe
was.
that's-
Okay,
that's possible.
That's probably where I got the 104. I'll go with that.
I think mainly the county highway department, but I was looking at it. Anyway.
Well, thank you again. I guess we need to approve this.
Yes.
Is that your recommendation? I
That
take it?
is the recommendation, yes.
She's sweating.
Gosh.
I'll make a motion to approve the recommendation from Leanne Smith for the health insurance for 2023, is that right? 2023, 2024?
2024, yeah. I'll second the motion.
Discussion? I think we had enough. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. No opposed?
And the HSA.
Do what?
And the HSA.
Make another one for the HSA, I guess.
Yeah, I guess I can amend my, John, can I just amend my motion to include that?
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Well,
Like, yeah.
I'll amend my motion to include the HSA donation of $1,000.
Well, I'll second that, but I'd like to, a little discussion there, though. Go ahead. I'll second it.
Okay.
Discussion, yes.
Okay.
There's a maximum, or there's more, you can put more than, or the employer can put more than 1,000 in. We've been putting 1,000, have we not been putting 1,000 in every year?
We do.
For a number of years?
Yes, we have.
What's that, what's the upper limit on that? Or is it still 1,000?
The county only puts in 1,000.
That's
The
what I'm getting at.
employee
No,
can
No,
have
no, no,
more.
I'm talking about the county.
Yeah.
What's it, can the county, what's the upper limit that the county can put in?
There is
I don't know.
'Cause ours
I
puts
really
a
don't
lot
have an
more
answer
than
to
that.
Okay. Then my discussion's
Has
over.
it been always 1,000, or was it 500 and went to 1,000 over the years, or it always been?
Since I've been here almost 2 years, it's been 1,000. The year before it was 1,000.
I believe it's, that's what I'm,
Yeah.
where I'm, this is where I'm going with this, is that it's been 1,000. I thought there was a limit though, but if there is not a limit, regardless, it's still 1,000. That's where I wanted to have this
Yeah.
discussion. I'm not sure that's still appropriate.
I do know everything's went up, so that $1,000, 4 years ago probably went a long way for an HSA account.
Well, it seems like it's been 1,000, at least in private industry, it's been 1,000 for the last 20 years, or
Yeah.
however long HSAs have been around. But did you guys consider, did the committee consider any differences in the HSA?
No.
I can't say what we did.
That wouldn't affect any insurance, it'd just be the contribution that the
It'd be
council.
To the
county's
HSA,
contribution.
yeah. Which I'm sure anybody on the HSA would probably
Say yes, go ahead.
say yes to, $1,250, $1,500, or I mean, if the commissioners wanted to approve a bigger amount.
I
Well,
kinda Googled it, it does say up to $1,500 of a family plan contributions. That may be something we need to look into.
To see if the,
I thought there was a
If
limit
this
that
is
an employer
like a
could put
private
into it.
company, I don't know if county's exactly
Sure.
different.
Yeah.
We need to look into it.
Well, we'll go with that, and I guess we can amend it at a later date, since it's
Okay, I'll check
county
into that.
funds that go into that, not necessarily
Yeah.
Anthem or whoever, but I'll go with, my discussion's over.
Do you think we'll make a recommendation to the council?
I
next
think the
budget?
committee should make a recommendation on that, not us.
I wouldn't mind, like I said, sitting on that, doing a little research and making sure, because I do think, I don't know how many's on the HSA, if there's 50, 25, 30. But I do think, Britton makes a good point that, I'm not sure the 1,000, if that's what your meaning is, increasing it, $1,000.
No, I think we just have it.
Decreasing, no. What another?
54.
54, so I mean, that $1,000, like I said, it doesn't go as far for gas or anything, so I think insurance-wise, it'd probably be prudent to look at that, and if we could increase it and can afford it, it probably would be a thing to consider,
Yeah, it directly relates to their health, and
Yeah.
that's important.
so.
It's something I think the committee ought to consider and come back with a recommendation. It may be the same recommendation, but I just think it ought to have been
It's
considered.
fine, we can
I
do
can
that.
reach out.
And I
And
don't
you'd have
think it
to try
affects
to
what
take
we're
that
doing
to the
now. We
budget
can
meeting.
change that.
We can amend it later,
Yep.
yeah.
Had to go for the budget.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll get back with it. Appreciate what you guys did and did a good job.
You still need to call for the vote.
Call for a vote.
Aye.
Aye.
All in favor? Aye, aye, aye. Any opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you.
No more sweating.
All right.
On a good page.
Good job.
Open issues. Courthouse annex, we got several things we can talk about a little about that, and Brett's been ramrodding that program. I think we're ready to do something on it. I think we'll get to a place where,
Go ahead.
I can let you speak. I'm just setting it up so everybody knows who you are and what you're doing. But I appreciate what he's done. He's done a wonderful on it. He went through the sale of the building, and he did. And he set the building up for the sale, and he's done a lot on that building. And they came back with prints for us. The engineering company did. They hit the home run on the prints. The prints are exactly what we need. But yet we're looking at cost. We're going to get together and start looking at some things over there and try to be creative. You want to talk a little bit about that, Britton?
We're looking at I guess actually it's a project delivery. Back in 2017, 2018, somewhere in there, the legislature came up with 2 other delivery methods, or at least one other, I think 2. One was design build that the county can do, and then the second was called CMC, which is construction manager constructor. What we went through the jail with was construction manager advisor, CMA, and that was a larger project, and that was definitely something that we wouldn't necessarily do with the CMC, though they did propose it that way, and projects like that have been done that way. This is a smaller project. With the CMC, we can select a construction manager. The constructor part of it means that once they're selected, they can do up to, and I don't remember exactly the number, but it's between 17 and 20% of the project with their own forces. In other words, if I'm the contractor, I can do up to 17% or 20, we'll just call it 20%. 20% of the project with my own forces. The other parts I have to let out to other contractors. If it goes over, I think it's 150,000. There's different earmarks of what I have to do as a constructor, though. I think it's like 50,000 and 150,000 as to what I have to do to actually let the bids out on those particular projects, but it's up to me as a constructor. That gets it started and completes the project, but the more important part of this is by bringing on a construction manager constructor, is that he works with the architect and starts going through the materials, the process, the supplies, the expenses, the methods of construction and scheduling. And with that, it gets back from just an architect using basically, in this case, the means manual, which is an average constructing estimating tool, or it's an estimating tool by area. The closest area here would be Indianapolis, I believe. But what happens is that it comes down to getting someone who's familiar with the local contracts, local materials, local supplies, local contractors, and being able to develop this project where there's some degree of certainty given to it that we can build this project and it'll be closer to what we would expect as the cost to be when we finish. Using means manual gets us so close, but getting down to actually the type of materials, where those materials will come from, how they'll be placed, and who will be placing them, usually can give us a far greater quality of a project and most likely a better priced project. So we're looking at that. I'm very much in favor of going that route. It gives us a lot of control over how this gets done and the quality of materials that go into it and the expectations of when it'll be complete. It gives us the most concise and condensed version of a construction schedule that we could go with. We can go with the traditional method of bidding it out and so forth, that you get the low bids and you don't know what you're going to end up with at the end of the project. The other way in which this can be delivered, that's the one I'm in favor of. This is still out for discussion, is to actually, I guess, for us to act as a construction manager ourselves. And I'm not necessarily in favor of that. I don't think we have the time and whatever, but that is a proposal that's on the table at this point. Anyway, if we don't, once they get through, they'll be working with the architect. Once either we do or the construction manager constructor gets through it, works with this individual, we'll have a price lined out that should be within somewhere 2 to 5% of the actual construction costs going to the end, which we're hoping to be done by the end of October, I guess it is. Once we get that together, then the council is going to have to probably approve. I don't think we have the appropriations for this. The council is going to have to approve the expenditure for that for this year. I do not believe that there's a defined dollar value to this. We have a plan. It's going to cost us so much. I don't know that we'll be able to change that value unless we change the project itself. And that's about the only way I see that it actually coming in any better than what it is, what will be going forward. Anyway, I think that's the basis of it. Within a week, there will be a program, or the CMC request will go out tonight after approval, and they'll be due back next Tuesday. At that point in time, we'll meet and either assign a construction manager constructor or decide on a different delivery method at that point. So we're a week off from that actually happening. We are very happy with the layout of this. I
layout's
think
good.
everybody's happy with that.
Very good.
That will have a defined cost. So if that cost is more than what we're willing to pay, there's a couple ways of going about that. One, if it's more than what we're looking at, we can go and we can bond it. That still takes time, and that means we will not make our schedule of end of October. We can get a loan, or we can take it out of county funds or pay it over time anyway. There's different ways of paying it out over time as well. This is something that's going to be a 50-year project. It's not, even though I think most people have been looking at this being paid out over this year. In other words, come the end of September, it's paid for. And if the council can see fit to do that, so be it. Or if we can get the cost down to where we actually believe it's going to be, then that's a possibility. But if it's going to be more than what the council thinks that we can pay for within a year, one of two things will happen. The project's going to have to change to reduce what it is, or we'll have to go out and borrow the money and pay it for over a 3, 5, 7, whatever period of time that we're willing to pay out for this. There are monies in the county coffers, but again, that's up to the council as to how that gets paid out or how we will pay it. Anyway, those are the mechanisms, and that's what we're looking at right now is the CMC. So.
Okay.
And I think that document's already been created by the architects, right?
Yes,
That
it
can go
was,
out.
well, he did a good job, I thought, on that.
Yeah, and I think so. And then the other thing to remember too is, the CMC, I think, during our meeting last week, it was prudent that we want to keep it local and, make sure we use local people in this project. I think that's a big proponent of all the commissioners, so.
Yep.
But I think Britton hit the nail on the head with most of the discussion, so I'll leave it at that.
It's a positive thing. And they don't have returns for 50 years. It's not a couple-year project. It's going to last a couple years. It's going to probably have a 50-year life expectancy, probably at least.
So I make a motion that we send out the CMC inquiry that was drafted by the Archura and expect it back by, I believe, a week from today.
Yep.
If not before.
Yep,
And then, are we going to have anyway, that's a motion.
I'll second his motion. Yeah, rolling into discussion. Brendan, is there a special meeting already scheduled for next Tuesday? I thought we talked about that last.
While she's looking at that, one other thing I forgot to mention with this is that it's once they go through this and once the contractor goes in and the architect, and they go back and forth and getting this price down to the 2% level where we're going to be at the end, the thing that happens there is that we will revisit it. So either we'll accept what they've got and come to terms, or we'll say go back to the table and you're going to have to refigure something, or we'll reject it. So there's 3 alternatives there at the end of the constructor and the architect finally pushing this through. The other thing this does for it condenses the schedule by almost a month, 3 weeks to a month, as far as going out and just bidding the project in a traditional bidding process through this. So and time is money. Us taking another week costs us money on this project. So every day that we go by that we don't meet our schedules, it costs us money. So up to the point that we reject it, and it did cost us money, we just don't have a project at that point.
Okay.
We did
So
set a time. We did set a time for that meeting.
For that meeting next Tuesday? Anybody have a preference?
I should be off that day.
Yeah.
Morning preferred for me, if nobody has any objections to that.
9 o'clock be too late.
No.
9 works for me.
10, 11.
They try 4:30 every morning.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
no.
No. I'm good with 9 o'clock. Everybody else is.
4:30 a.m. and 10 or 11 o'clock at night.
Okay.
I wouldn't make it. So 9 a.m. Tuesday.
I think this will be the best. I'm glad the state allow us to do this. It's a far superior delivery method than these other methods, especially for this type of project. This is a relatively small project.
So we all set on that. Someone made that motion. Or did
In
we
a
need-
second.
Yeah.
Do we need a vote?
Second, if you need it again.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
And Brendan, that advertisement, I guess I didn't read it too closely yet. Are they to be sent to the auditor's office or emailed or?
I don't remember.
I just want to make sure when we send that out or put it out on social media, wherever we do, there's a place to send the thing.
They can pick them up from the auditor or from the Artura, from the architect.
Okay.
Or you can hand deliver them if you've got
Yeah.
people that you want to deliver them to, for that matter.
I think me and Tim talked, probably social media probably be the quickest or the most effective way to maybe get it out.
We're not obliged to do that
No.
either. We're doing this, but we're not
Yeah.
obliged to do it.
Yeah.
Well, the more the local people know, the better, I always believe. So we're moving on that.
Okay.
County engineer, I haven't heard anything new yet on that. We're supposed to be having a meeting coming up with 2 other counties that are sharing engineers now to get a more.
Has Brown County bought into it, or they said yes, it's a definite, or
I mean, as far as them coming, the state,
sharing the engineer? Yeah.
the state was going to set that appointment up, and I've heard nothing back from them. LTAP was.
Appointment?
LTAP was going to contact those 2 counties and see if they could send someone up to meet with us when we went.
I see.
And
On how it physically works is what you're talking about. The administration of it.
How what?
The administration of the engineer.
Yeah, they've already got it in going on in their 2 counties, so instead of us doing by a lot of trial by error, we could actually
Yeah, that
get
makes
a lot
sense.
very, very valuable information.
Sure.
So LTAP's been very, very helpful. Okay, ARP monies, I have no new on that.
I gave my proposal of projects and what costs might be, along with proposed grants if the ready grants ever come about. That doesn't count other grants, but just looking at the ready grants as the ones coming up here in the short term anyway.
I have a list as well, but I've not put any money amounts to them yet. I need to find that and get mine honed in a little bit more on that.
I think one of the things we need to make available to entities in a county is, our problem we always have is we're too far behind and not far enough ahead. And when projects come along, it's like what we've done with this new ambulance facility. We went and we had a great ambulance committee, put this stuff together, we had the engineering work done. We got that project set in there. And who knows when it's going to happen, but if you have your projects ready now, even though it might take 2 or 3 years for it, I mean, you have to go back and revisit it, but yet if you had all that, have your stuff in order now, ready for a grants coming up, I think it's very important. And I think if some of this money, this ARP money, we could put forward to entities that want to do something, set plans out. And regardless if they do them, at least they'd have it there on hand. Because like I said, if you watch a lot of these grants, they'll come through and they'll give you 30, all of a sudden you find out it's 30 days before you can do it. And you just can't put that stuff together in that amount of time. So I think it's to encourage us all to dream a little bit and come up with ideas that we want, in our parks or wherever, or in the community, and come up with those plans. Have those plans set in there. ARP money spent on something like that, $10,000 to $15,000 for developing plans for different projects. It's not saying you're going to do them, but why not have several of those? That's like, I think, another town south of here, south of Terre Haute, they had stuff ready when projects came up. They just set it right there, and that's our problem. We're not ahead of it. And I think that encourage, our departments or different offices here in the courthouse to get creative in things that they can do or that they want to do. But we need to
I
bring
think they got $10 million for just a trail around the town.
Yeah, there's money out there. And Park County just got $6 million for their trails here a couple months ago. So there's money out there, but we fail to dream. We fail to look forward. And then when these things come up, we try to run and put it together. And then when you try to put a grant together, you're going to get yourself in trouble because you got to have it right. And so I encourage different entities here in the county to bring that up, and maybe you can get creative and make a difference in our county. And
I think there's a lot of good ideas out there, especially in these small towns, small communities that don't have a lot of funding. They've got ideas, but they have no idea of how to pay for them. So I'd encourage them to. I'm with you, Tim. Whether it's get hold of us or Doug Hess or whoever that may be. I think Perrysville. If you talk to Eddie, he's got ideas every day. And he's got a lot of them. Cayuga's got some ideas. I'm sure. St. Bernice and Fairview. They've all got cool ideas. So I'm with you. Encourage them to dream and bring those ideas to light.
Well, I'd like to see our towns. This was one of the things I well, if we get things a little bit different situated here, this is the main, was it Main, or downtown, Main Street?
Main Street.
Main Street programs. Are all the, quite a few of the towns were close to being on that, and I think actually Clinton was on the Main Street program. And then now we have none of them on it.
Yeah.
And the grants, a lot of these, I can't say a lot, but a number of these grants are available through that program that are very favorable to the smaller towns that don't necessarily have the monies available to them. I've been looking at some of these things for going forward on this medical front, and in doing so, I've been looking at facilities like what we're looking for, the ambulance and so forth, and there's grants available for these type things now. And it's not that we have a window of a week or a month or whatever it is. We have a year to get these in. It takes effort and somebody to actually do these things, though. And we're going to have to do something here, because I don't know that we have the people to actually sit here and fill these things out on a daily basis. But your monies, does Knox County have a grant writer, if you will? One or more? One thing that I think that we're really missing out on is a grant writer. Someone I mean, it almost gets to the point that we have to have a grant writer come to us before we actually use one. And I'd like to, for at least going into, maybe not this year, but going into 24 in the budget period, that we put that in again. And I think we can show how it pays for itself very easily.
But the only thing I agree with that, but on the other hand is you got to have people that apply for grants, that want to apply for grants. I mean, I think every department ought to be looking for it and bring it, but I don't see that happening all the time.
Well, it does happen. Like the Board of Health, that's what Wendy does a lot. That's why they do a lot of things they do, is because she sits there and fills out. So we do have departments that are doing things, but it's very isolated to the Board of Health. She doesn't do anything outside that.
And some departments may not have the personnel to do that or the time, and I think with a full-time grant writer, even if it's, and I don't even know what they get paid, even if it was $70,000 a year, they're going to pay for themselves in one or two grants, whether it's for the highway department, the sheriff's department, emergency management, the prosecutor's office. I mean, the parks, even the parks department. So
I don't even mind paying them on a consignment. I don't know that we can do that, but
I mean, I think it needs
grants. You get a percentage of the grant, like 5% goes to administrative fees.
I think they changed the law on that.
No, what we do in Knox County is we use.
Can you come up here and speak so we can hear you, please? Identify yourself.
we know you're bashful anyway. And
what we do in Knox County, we use.
Identify yourself, please.
Huh?
Identify yourself.
Kevin
please.
Meyer from Knox County.
Okay.
But what we do in
So what
Knox
it says
County,
to do,
we have
so.
a consulting firm basically. It's one lady, and she writes grants for other cities in our community. So it's not a county employee, and just like he said, I mean, we use a lot of Southern Indiana Development Corporation, and that's how they make their living. And I'm sure you guys are in what group are you guys in up here? Is it,
for what?
as far as the grant writing?
Thrive.
West Central.
So how many counties are included in that? Is it just your county in Thrive? Or
There are about 6 or 7
right.
counties
So
now.
I mean, you're all splitting that cost, and as the grants come in, they get a cut or a percentage of that. So yeah, I didn't want you guys to leave here and think Knox County dollars are paying this one individual. It's
Why
not.
aren't you?
Because we use a consulting firm, it's just as good.
And it pays for itself.
Sure.
Without county participation.
Everybody's happy and content, so that's the main goal.
That's what I'm saying. We had grant writing available through Thrive. If people would submit the grants, you got to submit the grants. If you want to do something, that's what I'm saying.
We don't use Thrive very much for what we pay. Now, we pay as much as any other county, but we're not using their services.
But we could.
And you should.
That's what they say. Thank you.
Yep.
Went a little different direction, but got the same point, I guess.
Did you hold your sign up or what?
You want to know if you held your sign up?
Yes, it's 1 hour, we're done.
We're getting close. We're getting close.
Hey, 3 things. I'm ready to go.
IT committee appointments. We need to go somewhere on. You submitted 2 of them copies to us.
Yeah, I located 2 sets of bylaws and email them to you guys. If either one of those would work, I could set about changing them to make them apply to Vermillion County, or if neither work, I could try to create something from scratch.
So we need to get back on and let him know which one we want, and then you could set it up from there.
However you want it.
Okay. Could be a 5-member board.
We already got our members. You just
What?
have to approve them.
You already have the members.
Have we not approved them yet?
Nope. You just,
In February.
hang on, let me pull back.
Oh, I thought we approved those at the meeting.
Not
think
that I
you
recall.
recommended them.
That's okay.
Yeah, member recommendations, you didn't approve them.
Okay. Well,
It was Brandon Kelsheimer, Jason Zuka, Bart Turchi, Bart Mooney, and Chad Lindsay.
I've got some sharp guys.
You want to approve them tonight then?
I think we need to move on.
We're going to wait till we get the.
I don't mind signing them to, but one of the issues is that they need to have direction as to what we're asking them to do, though. There's
Well, I
no
mean, just
reason-
approve the members tonight, and by next meeting, have the decision made and move on. What do you
Up
think,
to you
RJ?
guys.
That's
I wasn't
fine.
really involved in the
Yeah, that's
description.
that's fine with me. So,
We'll let you know which one we want. You guys tell me which one you want, what you think, by vote. And then by next meeting, you'll have that ready, and then we can go ahead.
What you sent was just I didn't read it. I wasn't really involved in that end of it, but what you sent was just a structure for a committee, but not what the committee does.
No, it was I found 2 different sets of bylaws on the internet for IT committees.
Okay, so it is IT?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I sent them to you guys. They looked like the kind of thing you're talking about, and just asked it, would either one of these work as a template, and then we can
Okay.
change it from there.
I just like to get it done by
And
next
have you
meeting.
reviewed those
I
at
have
all?
not.
I've
I
looked
looked
at 'em,
for it,
and
and
I
I
could-
could not find them.
What'd you think of it?
I could go with either one of them, but
Do that.
I do think if we have anything specific, we need to add on there. If we want to have them make sure they do this, or recommend the IT budget, or whatever that may be, we just need to tweak it to that, which I think will be pretty easy.
Okay.
But by next meeting, I'd like to, if we get that going, and let's give them some direction, get them started.
John, I'll email you back tonight, but I think I'm good with either one. It doesn't really matter to me.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion to approve the names that Kylie named, because I cannot remember the 5 that she named.
Second the motion.
Any discussion? I believe this is gonna be a big asset to our county.
It's
Absolutely.
long past
I
due.
mean, years ago, we spent $350,000 on computer equipment, and there was no one here to justify if
Yep.
it, I mean, I can't do it, and none of you guys can do it. It'd be nice to have professional advice. That's being wise. So,
That's what
look
we're here
forward to
for,
that.
sign
What?
it out.
Do what?
That's what we're here for, to sign it out to people
Yeah.
that know what they're doing.
Find the best people and make it work the best. Traveling Vietnam Memorial Wall.
Yeah, you call for a vote, Tim.
Okay. Call for vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, RJ.
Yep, no problem.
Traveling in
Before we
Vietnam.
get to announcements, I have one thing that I'd like to, I'm not ready for it. Homework is getting almost complete on it now. Been looking at a medical facility down in Clinton, the annex across, I call it the annex, anyway, it's the convalescent home at one time and doctor's offices, and now it's where Leanne is residing now, across from the hospital. Been in the process of looking at moving the Board of Health from their facility in the house that they have now to that facility, and also providing a place for the coroner to reside as well. The Board of Health I had go in and look at, see if it was something that they might be agreeable to. It's a far superior facility to the facility that they have now. Basically, it's a house that's been modified to be an office.
And steps and access. And
Yeah, it's ADA compliant to get into it, but there's no ADA parking. There's no
Yeah.
handicap parking near it.
Mm-mm.
So you park somewhere, and once you get there, I guess you can go up the ramp and get in. But it's a house that's been modified. It's not really an office. In fact, one of the offices is in the garage, and they call it a conditioned environment garage. So, as one of the offices. So, but anyway, regardless, it served them for the purpose, I guess, for a while. I've almost got everything complete now. I've talked to a number of different people. I'll be presenting this at our next meeting. As soon as I get the numbers and things actually in written order, I'll provide them to you guys so that you can review them. They're on scrap paper right now. But what this does is that it gives us a lot more space in there. It actually gives us offices as opposed to a bedroom that's been divided into fourths. It gives us the place that the coroner can reside. Well, Board of Health first. Board of Health, it's all ADA accessible. It's all on one level, and it's not on two different levels. It has a reception area. It has a waiting area. It provides them with true office space that's far greater than what they have now. Plus, there's like 9 different offices there that they don't necessarily need 9 offices at this point, but for the price, it's rent the whole thing anyway. So, and it also gives us a clinical area if they decide to do some type of clinical things as opposed to where they're at now, where they kind of find a room and do whatever they're doing. It's not, I don't think it's very good. This is far superior to what they're doing. It looks like it's going to be cheaper over the period of time. Also, as far as the rent goes, or lease goes, if you will, for what they're paying. Union Hospital owns the facility that they're at now. They own the facility that goes across the street, and the agreement will be with them.
It is comparable in rent from that to the building that the Board of Health is versus the other building, right?
It's far, well, at that building, they're paying, that's why I say I've got the numbers, I've got to put them together. They're not ready to go. I got them, I just don't have what they are. But it's going to be less in rent, plus where they're at, they're paying for utilities. So water, sewer, gas, electric, they're paying for that as well. When they go to this other facility, not only is the lease price includes all the utilities. So it's an all-inclusive. It's like a resort. It's all-inclusive resort. So and the price, just the lease price alone is less than what they're paying there. So
That's
not counting the
amazing.
utilities. Plus it's more space. And it's all on one level, and it's actually truly offices. So there'll be some expense to move them. Physically, to move the things over, it'll be an expense to have EAS or whoever come in and set up the computer network, so there'll be some expense. But even with that, it's for over a year, that's going to be, the upfront costs will recover that.
Right.
So there's some other nuances with it. I'll get those all in writing, but the Board of Health looks like if we could got that front area, and I've been able to do that tonight, or before it came to me, I was able to do that reception area and the clerical area. So I'd be able to verbally come to agreement on that portion of it. And so it looks like we're in a pretty good place right now. With the coroner has no place. They've been I don't know where they've been floating around this county for 200 years, I guess. But there's no place for the records. Every time that there's been a change in the coroner, I don't know, I guess they find the records and then they somehow give them to the new coroner. This will provide a home and maybe consolidate those where I have no idea where they're at in the county now. Who knows if they've all been transferred or where they've never been, but this gives us a chance to consolidate that. I'm hoping to work out with the Board of Health that with this receptionist, that not just a receptionist for the Board of Health, but also will take the calls and messages and assist the coroner as well, where there is no assistance there now at all. So it's based on the coroner and his part-time deputies to do whatever they've got to do. And I think this will help that whole situation work out too, and make it a more streamlined. But and I think that all this is very positive going forward, and the nice thing about it is that actually it's going to be less cost for a better facility. So
what's also really neat is because they are in agreement going over there instead of.
Yeah, I met with them last Friday to go through the facility, and they had that one condition, and were able to satisfy that condition, and so they're agreeable to it as well.
How much did?
And the coroner's just great. We're very happy about it. Well, he has nothing, so
yeah.
Even if he doesn't use it, he has.
How long a lease did they act like they could sign, or that have been discussed yet?
I'm sorry?
How long a lease could be signed with them?
That's negotiable.
Okay.
That's up to us. The facility's not occupied currently. It'll take somewhere between 30 days and 90 days to actually affect the move, because the hospital's got things in there that they're going to have to find a place for, and Board of Health is going to have to think how their process is going to work and still stay in business and affect the move too. So it's not something that would happen assuming we're all agreeable to it. I don't know why we wouldn't be agreeable, but assuming we're still agreeable to it, I think the quickest is 30 days, but I think it'd be maybe more realistic at looking at 90 days. And we're going to have, again, we'll have some upfront expense. We're going to have it internet ready so that they can take their computers and disconnect them and reconnect them and be back in business the same day, hopefully. But anyway, I'll have that all laid
Very
out for
positive.
y'all to look at.
That's very positive. Okay, the traveling, you done?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I'm done.
The Traveling Vietnam War Memorial Wall, it's going to be on June the 9th to 11th, time 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. locate. The IP means International Paper, I assume. Family Park, they're in Hillsdale. So if you got time to come out, be nice something to come out and see. One other thing I want to mention, we haven't had no building inspector. I guess we have, because I've been that selected person. I've donated my time, donated my vehicle, whatever. But anyway, that's what you're supposed to do. I mean, if you're elected and something comes up, stand up and take care of it. But that's not by choice. I had to do it. But anyway, we're moving on. We've talked to Roger Meyer. We met him at a meeting here earlier this year at South Vermillion. He came up and talked about wanting to be involved in doing something in the county. And then lo and behold, this here came up. He is a retired, he's not retired, he's an engineer, he retired, but he's still doing work. He's also a licensed land surveyor. And so he's a pretty sharp cookie. And I shouldn't say it that way, but I mean, he's educated, and it's nice to have someone to go out and look at a footer, know what a footer is, and know basic terminology, and be smart enough to make good decisions. He made a proposal. In trying to come up with some type of agreement with someone to work for you, it's too hard to come up with an exact answer. But the other day he came and he's met with you, right, Brenda? Mm-hmm. And he made a proposal of $25 in inspection plus mileage. So we're going somewhere, and I think that big thing is getting someone like that that can help us. We want to take care of them. And what did you recommend? Britton brought up a liability issue, if he's there. So how could we help him if he?
If he's an employee, he's going to fall under, I sent you guys the statute on immunity for government employees who perform.
Does that mean a full-time or part-time is still the same?
It would depend. Well, no, if he's part-time, I think he'd still fall under that same statute, because that's not a benefit. It's just a state statute that says if you're employed by the government, you're performing inspections, that you're not liable for those inspections. If you decide to hire him on as a contractor, then either he might consider an insurance policy, or you guys might want to get with George and say, what would it cost us to provide an insurance policy for this person doing inspections?
Okay. It's a work in progress, but at least we got someone who's.
I think we need to take care of Roger, putting him out there without compensating either for professional liability insurance and/or. I would prefer to see him come on as an employee, not as a 1099 employee, if you will, as a contractor. It affords him greater protection and for a better price to the county than it will be to pay a subsidy, I guess, for his professional liability.
And how will you make the
insurances.
compensation? Because you're talking about an hourly versus a per inspection.
You can pay people by the hour. You become an hourly employee. Just because you're a professional employee doesn't mean it's salary. He works an hour, you pay him an hour. If he has a drives a mile, you pay him for a mile, 40
Yeah,
minutes,
I
whatever it is.
don't, I'm all for giving him the protection of the part-time employee to make sure he's on that, but how does that affect the salary ordinance for part-time employees? Is that gonna mean if we agreed to, you know, the 25, I mean, does it matter, does that affect it?
Approved by the council.
Okay, but I mean, we will have to do that though.
Because most part-time employees are your 13, but then.
That's what I mean.
people-
They're what?
Well, then they come back and, just for example, the sheriff came back and he has a part-time employee that has been at 17.
Okay.
And then council approved it up to 20.
I would like to officially, like you said, maybe, I don't know if we need to do it officially tonight, but, you know, make a motion to approve, Roger Meyer as a part-time employee of the county, acting as building inspector, is that what we want to do?
I think we ought to take what we got here back to him and talk to him about it, you know.
Yeah, I don't know that I guess he's doing things now. It kind of looks like it.
Yeah.
That's what I mean, if he's gonna be out, you know, say tomorrow doing stuff, I mean, or he needs to be told maybe not doing that, or if he understands the liability aspect of it.
I don't
As of
know
right
that he
now, with your
does.
budget, you can do him as a professional services, because you have that in your budget.
Well, that doesn't afford him any protection, though.
Correct, I understand that, but if you go the other route, you're gonna have to go in front of council.
I just wanna make sure he understands, you know, the professional liability.
I don't know
standpoint.
that he does or not. I've talked to him, but it's been months ago that I talked to him. I don't think he probably understands that. I don't.
Because he sent some detailed emails today that I thought, man, these are fantastic, but at the same token, I wouldn't want to risk that going out there unless I was afforded that protection of the liability.
Is there an interim step we can take, John?
As far as
Putting him as a part-time, we're not quite, I don't think we're quite there. We need somebody to do inspections now. We don't have anybody, and Tim's been taking it over, but it's been a burden on him as well. So we need to get from here to the point that we actually come to agreement with Roger to do this. How do we do that without doing like what?
So you're not wanting to wait on the council to approve?
Well, we do, but that's a month, or that's 2 weeks away.
Yeah, 2 3 weeks.
Do they have any discretionary money?
Yeah.
I mean, you could do it out of that.
But what if we went back to the original thing, that he does it by inspection and figure out somewhere where he has his liability insurance figured in there so it don't hurt him, you know, in that cost. And
Well, I think
that
that's
would
a
work
yearly
now.
thing. When you, at least when I had it, or when I had it, you buy it by the year. You don't buy it for a week.
I know, but I mean, if he would come up with that is built into that price of inspection, you know what I mean? So.
You might talk to George.
But you're
out.
looking at maybe $7,500.
So?
Well, okay.
I mean, I don't know.
But that doesn't give him, that just says that he's covered for a certain amount of money for him making a mistake. That doesn't keep him from being sued and having a judgment against him. He just has insurance for it, and which there's a deductible, which is maybe $25,000. This professional liability insurance is not what you're thinking it is. I don't think
I don't know. Like I said, I just spoke to him yesterday, but I'm not sure who has spoke to him, but I think they probably need to talk to Roger and make sure he understands. And maybe he'll continue, maybe he's willing to work and assume the liability, and if he is, that's one thing, but.
RQA will put him on their payroll and do it for $25 and we're good, right?
I mean, you guys have money in the budget, it's just
Just say yes.
The budget is still there, but it just needs to be moved around.
In the building inspector?
All I'm gonna tell you, you two, got something done about it, you're doing it.
I do, but we need to do it in a
I'm
proper way
done.
that we don't expose the county nor him
I'm done. I'm saying, it's coming your way.
I can call George
I've done my donation.
for now, at least get there.
Yeah, I mean, I think we call
Well, you
George.
may have the right thing of actually putting him on for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we put him on, I mean, just to give him that.
What's the downside of it,
Why
John, of putting him on for 2 weeks until we get this settled?
The downside of putting him on as an employee,
Yeah.
Part-time.
I mean, if you have a pool of money that can do that and it will cover what he charges, I'm not.
We still
Tim's
got
got a lot
like
of
$10,000
money.
or $12,000, don't we?
Yeah, it's about 10.
Yeah.
I don't know what the downside would be unless the council were to say, no, we're absolutely not going to.
Well, then we lay him off.
Yeah, that's what, then you don't want to employ him.
Well, we'll go back to the.
Does he
You
get?
already have that position? Wasn't there already a building inspector?
Yes, but it was
You don't need
tied
to
in.
go there.
Oh, you don't wanna go there.
But I'm saying there was already a position in place. someone was being paid to do the job, whether they did it or not.
Well, it was added to another job he did.
There was a totally not a good thing, and I don't know that we want to go there.
So-
I understand what you're saying, but it was
The
a
money's there, it just needs to be reappropriated.
Somebody what?
The money is there, it just needs to be reappropriated for the council. So it depends on which way you wanna go. You can go into
I think
professional
I'm more in
services.
favor of what you were going to do for a part-time, and then
Yeah, I
if
think
we
I-
don't get there, then we
But
just
that's
don't go.
I'm for that too. But how do you compensate anybody hour? Because it ain't gonna be no $15 an hour, or 16.
Well, you set a rate.
Okay,
what
we
if
can
the
set any rate we want to
$20,
set
whatever it is.
for part-time. I'm saying if we can set a rate that's comparable, he can make money.
As
And
long
when
as-
we run out of money, we run out of money.
Like if you're me,
You can
I
have
charge $200 an hour, so.
You're cheap.
I thought part-time employees were set at $20 an hour.
Is the max?
I think I think anything over, yeah, and I think anything you have to go before the council to get that changed. So I mean, but if Roger's gonna work in good faith and understanding that, hey, you know, this is just, government moves slow,
There
we have
are-
to go through these processes.
There are what's considered emergency conditions, though, that can be done in an interim period.
I mean, really, it's an emergency, in my
I mean,
opinion.
Well,
What do you
I don't know
think?
if they call it
Can that be
emergency,
deemed
but,
as something
I
like
mean,
that?
nobody's life
Expedited.
is at risk.
That's what I mean, it's not an
Wait,
emergency.
yeah.
I don't know that it would fall under the definition of an emergency.
I didn't,
Well,
I
I'm
didn't
To
mean
disagree,
quite
it's
that
an emergency,
extreme.
it's an emergency.
Yeah, I would still, if
Yeah.
there's another, or at least a second, maybe make a motion to approve Roger Meyer as an interim.
Well, the other thing is we just don't do it. We go through the process, and that's maybe the way we do it. So, government has set these obstacles, and we didn't plan accordingly, and so people don't get their services until we're ready to do it.
I think we need to get creative here.
I think
I know you two better get creative very quick.
I still would, I mean, if there's a second, I'd like to make that motion that we approve Roger Meyer as an interim building inspector, and the part-time being, I don't know if I need to add anything else to that motion or not.
What rate you gonna put on it?
What rate did you agree? I mean, I don't know what rate.
I don't know.
I know you're in the middle of a motion.
Well, if you want to interject, I'll throw it in with the motion.
Well, what I was going to say is maybe assign a commissioner to negotiate those terms and give him the authority to
Well,
do that in the interim period here.
Who's been negotiating with them previous, Tim?
No, he has too, but I'll take it.
Who wants it?
I'll do it.
I'll amend my motion to include Commissioner Yoakum to negotiate the fees with
Still got my
Roger
name
Meyer.
involved in this.
For the interim period.
For the
Until
interim
we-
period, yes, for the
Until we
interim.
can meet with council.
Yes, yes. That's my motion. Kylie, if you can fix that motion.
Put that in
up.
writing and send it to me.
Yeah, I want to see how that one gets.
No, it's important. I mean, when you got, our county has got things going on, and it's, when people call, can't get hold of someone, can't get a building permit, get their stuff approved, it's not good on our county. I mean, it's just not. And,
So you can't.
and I haven't did a very good job. I mean, of course, when you work a day and night, it's kind of hard to get everything done. But,
I'll second the motion, so we can get to discussion anyway. And, John, where are we going to trip up really bad here on this?
Couldn't possibly tell you where you're going to trip up really bad. If I could do that, I would.
I want to read this in the paper. That's just going to come out.
It's just gonna say discussion and really good. And
Well,
did you guys ask me if I would accept?
or we, since we're in discussion, or we step back and we just go till the process is complete, and people will just have to wait. The concrete won't get.
I'll
poured.
donate my time. I'm not gonna let him be held up. I can't do that. No, I take that back.
What if we had him, oh, here you go, here's creative. We have him as a 1099 employee for the interim period. He reports to Commissioner Yoakum, and Commissioner Yoakum makes the official decision. He's just advising him as a consultant.
You could do something like that.
And that way he doesn't, if
He's not actually-
Tim doesn't take his suggestion or does take his suggestion, it's on Tim. It's not, or on the commissioners.
But I
It's
still
not
have
on-
to go out there, right?
No,
He
you
can
don't.
take
He'll
the phone
report
and
back to you.
FaceTime with you and show you things.
He'll report back to you and you'll make up, he'll say, this is a great foundation, you should approve it. And either you will approve it or you won't approve it.
Okay, I'll be the one making decisions, so I'll be one for liability.
Yes.
Okay.
And all he's doing is giving you advice, not making a decision. I think that may give
Write
him
that and send it to me.
Oh, I think that gives, up until the time that we can get this on an even keel, I think that's an
Okay.
appropriate way of doing it.
That's fine with me. With that, I'll withdraw my long motion from about 5 minutes ago.
Okay. Now,
Good discussion, good discussion.
so whatever I said, I make a motion. God, this is.
I'll second Brendan's motion.
That we hire Roger Myers as an advisor to our Commissioner Yoakum as the interim, construction inspector.
So
For a wage in which is negotiated in the interim period until the council can act upon it.
Okay.
I'll second that motion.
Got it. I'm gonna rewatch the video.
Well, I thought that was pretty concise.
That's brilliant.
Doesn't
Okay.
matter how we came to it. I think it was a good.
Now you can put that in the paper.
Well, that's what you got to get on things. You got to get creative and make things happen. You just can't say, "Oh, I can't do it." You got to figure out some way to make it happen.
Okay,
And
I'll
that's-
call for the vote.
Everyone in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Motion passed.
I think that works.
Yeah, good. Okay. Anybody else have anything else?
No, Countywide Cleaning Days was another success. Thank everybody for working, volunteering, the highway department, everybody for bringing their trash in. It was fun as always. Look forward to seeing people for the fall cleanup days.
We'll make a announcement for our county cleanup days. As RJ said, I'm not adding it to cleanup days, but I'm adding to recycling. 2 weeks ago, I had a meeting with Senator Braun, and I went into International Paper and seen their facilities and very impressed. And I let them know I was very concerned with their future, as they are one of the biggest employers here in the county, and let them know that we'll do everything we can to help them. They have future projects coming up. Please let us know. And just an overall positive words with them, letting them know we need them. And I think it's very important. But also I had the conversation, I've been there one other time and talked to them about recycling. And I would love to see that eventually we get something going on, and sometimes we try to look at things too big, try to do a whole bunch of recycling, different things, and that's fine. But my thought has always been, if we can get something going on with the local International Paper, a recycling program that the county could buy into, the schools could buy into, everybody could come together to do one product, and recycle it and do it with a local facility. One of the issues they have a lot of times with what they use there, a lot of them, I think the majority, probably 80-90% of all the material they use is clean cuttings from their other places, and they bring all their clean cuttings in there, and then they run it through bats and process it. But tomorrow, when I talk to them, my whole goal is to try to secure something for a county, maybe a possibility of just cardboard. I think that the recycling people and the solid waste people are doing a wonderful job, and I think that maybe this might be a possibility of something good. It might not. They might tell me we can't do it, but all these things you got to try, and maybe we will have some success. And whatever comes out of that, we'll get back with solid waste or you guys or the board and let you know what we find out, and then bring it back. And if something would work, we would be very happy. So anyway, any other announcements, or anybody got anything to say?
I just wanted to say I think it was a wonderful thing that the highway workers went to Sullivan County and helped
Yes.
out with the tornado and volunteered their time.
Yep.
I think it was a wonderful thing because we never know what could happen in our county as well.
Right.
So thank you.
You want to talk a little bit about that? Your boss was the one who brought that up, wasn't it? And then you approved them to go down?
It was a county decision.
Okay.
It's county. Mike Kleck, foreman, superintendent of the county highway, I don't know if it's official yet or not, but made a suggestion that we go down to Sullivan County, and we had had time in which we could spend going there and helping out. Contacted one of the commissioners down there in Sullivan County, and it was passed on to Homeland Security, and then eventually over to their highway department down there, and it ends up that there's some relation between Mike and apparently one of their workers, so he got along very well. Mike took down the 308 excavator. I think 5 trucks, I guess, went down. We were going to take some other equipment, but it ended up that they were not needing it, or it was just going to get in the way. This worked out really well. We decided to wait a week. Once a disaster or something happens like that, there's always a lot of chaos and a lot of maybe wasted motions, and it gets sitting and then not a lot get done. So we decided to wait a week till they made sure everything was organized, and then we made the offer to come down. They accepted the offer, and we were able to go down there for 2 days. It was on a Tuesday and a Wednesday, and they were most appreciative of what was happening down there, and they were able to work the whole time and not miss a lick on it. We left the equipment down there overnight and then brought the guys back down there on Wednesday, so they got full length of time of doing things without having to sit and wait for somebody to make the assignment. So it was done very, very well, and thanks for Sullivan County being organized, and Homeland Security was involved in this. Thank them for their organization and being able to make these things effective, and the same thing with FEMA. So it ended up being a very good and a very positive thing, and we were able actually to make a difference in their work. So thanks to the highway crews and filling in the gaps, and thanks to the county for supporting that. I think it's we could afford the time, we could afford the costs, we could help, and we did.
Yeah. Very well said. Anyone else have anything to say tonight? Visitor? Well,
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second the
That's what
motion.
you're waiting on.
all in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
Did you scratch all that other out?
Before I run out of here and eat dinner.